All right, guys, and we are live. What episode is this? Episode number 9 with Monique.
Hey.
She said that this is the perfect scenario for her to work on her studio album that's coming up soon, right? Just in time for the
I actually
Emmys.
sing and I rap, so this is
Yeah, so this makes
is my
sense.
bringing out.
Yeah, this is a podcast, quote unquote, but really we're just gonna work on her music and drop that shit because the Emmys are coming up.
That's why Armani came on before.
Yeah,
to,
because he's the one that's working on the whole
Yeah.
production, the mixtape.
the auto tune that's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
yeah,
is
yeah,
actually
exactly. So
Armani.
we worked on that. But anyways, so first of all, the first question that I tend to ask every guest is, what made you accept my invitation to come on this podcast?
I'm gonna be really honest.
Mhm.
I tend to say yes to most things
To
that
everything.
are like out of my comfort zone. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense. But
And
do you
that's
do
the
it?
thing, I've always wanted to be in a podcast, so why the fuck not? Here we are.
But do you do it like intentionally? Like, is it something that you force yourself to do, or is it just intuitively, and that's just who you are as a person? Do you think?
I think it's who I am now, to be honest, because when I was young, I used to be really shy, which is really odd when I say that out loud, because if you say that to someone I'm close with, like your cousin Bruna,
She'll tell you
She will
otherwise.
be like, "When has Monique ever been shy? Like, are you serious? Do you not know her?"
For sure.
But yeah, I think I'd rather do something that's odd than stay in like a safe zone, to be honest.
And what do you think led you, like, since you were kind of shy and introverted, or extremely shy and introverted as a child, what do you think like made that drastic shift to who you are now? Like, what happened that made you change and be more extroverted and be more outgoing?
Honestly,
in life?
it was one experience. I'm gonna tell you this right now, which is literally something I would be forced to. Is when I was young, I used to once again be like the shyest little girl ever, and then my sister used to force me to go on pageants. Literally.
Really?
Literally forced me full on. Didn't even know what the hell eyeliner, mascara, what the fuck was hairspray. Didn't know what the hell any of that thing was. It was shoved in my face. Had to make me go on pageants. I used to be forced to do photo shoots like when I was younger. Like my parents has like
Albums and shit?
butt naked pictures of me on a cloud.
Wow.
Like,
Just
when I was
modeling
younger.
and shit. Yeah.
And then
Child
when
labor.
I was, and I still wouldn't, like, I'd be like, I would just stay to myself all the time. And then when I was 13, my mom, I was part of like a youth group because my mom used to be like, you need to go make some fucking friends. Like,
Yeah.
because my sisters were very out there, like, had so many friends, were so like had so many activities. And my mom, I was never like that child to be like that. So she would, my mom is also very like, I want you to be independent. I want you to like, you know, like be your own person.
Just go
type
out into
thing.
the world and just present
Yeah.
yourself to the world.
So when I was 13, she was like, oh, by the way, like this is my sister just moved to California. And she was like, oh, your youth group is going to California and like your sister wants you to visit. So would you go like for a month? I was like, yeah, I would go. And she's like, okay, so I'm going to buy you a ticket, whatever. And then I would, in my head, I'm like, okay, so I'm going on this trip with my mom. My 13th birthday, literally the day before, my mom's like, oh, here's your ticket. Are you packed? I'm just like, wait, why aren't you packed? She's like, no, girl, you're going by yourself. I'm like, what?
Damn, at
Like,
13?
13, like, shut me on a plane by myself. Did literally, like,
Wow.
I went from New Jersey to Los
California.
Angeles, stayed there for a day,
Holy
went
shit.
to San Marie or whatever the fuck that's called.
Marina?
Like,
Yeah.
like down south of California, stayed there for 3 days for this conference, and then it went back up to Los Angeles, stayed there for 3 weeks, and then it went back to Jersey. Like,
Wow.
at 13, and after that, I was like,
It's like, what the fuck am I doing?
yeah, and in my head, I'm over here in the airport, like, bitch,
Wow. Nah, yo, but that's like, but that's some shit that if like when I have a child of my own, like I would try to do that too. It's just like force the kids to like go do shit, you know?
Yeah, no.
Because I think
honestly-
that like most kids nowadays, and I see this with my cousin, with Bruna's brother, for example, you know, like,
Oh my God, he's
and, like,
so shy.
he's shy,
Brian?
introverted. Yeah.
Stays on his freaking video games. God knows this guy's basically a character inside Fortnite
already. Exactly, and it's just like it's all nerfed. Like this world is completely nerfed and shit.
Yeah.
Got it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Shut up, guys.
People are talking. Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know why that happens, but that happens a lot though, and it's probably mine. Hold on. It just gives like off this weird frequency shit on my podcast with Damn, hold up. Oh shit.
You guys are.
Alright. Do you guys hear it still? Do you think they hear like the squeaky noise?
I hope so. I think so. I think the volume that we hear is just down.
All right, and then if people continue to hear it, they'll probably tell you, like, yo, this is weird noise. But on the podcast I did with Edgar, like, this shit started going crazy. Especially when we started talking about, like, spirits and conspiracy theories and shit.
Stop.
I'm serious. Yo, my episode with Edgar was easily one of the creepiest. Like, on that day, I got into a car accident. There was a complete power outage in my house, and the frequency started getting loud and loud. And then I got my phone and I put it next to Bob, and it started like going doom, doom.
Oh no!
Doom.
You can't talk about that.
You can't talk.
I'm sorry. I'll run out the fucking door.
Yo, I swear to God, that shit was crazy. But anyways, so we were talking about like just how kids are soft. Like I think that nowadays kids are so nerfed because the whole world is nerfed now, right? Like in a sense where you can't go outside and play in Newark anymore, right? Like can you? I don't think you can. Because when I was a kid,
I go and play outside in Newark, and I'm 22 years old, guys.
With a pistol tucked and shit. Yeah, hell yeah. But when I was like his age, I would be like walking around Newark, making friends, going to friends' parties, going to friends' houses. And I don't know, man. Like that's just like if I have a kid, that's what I'll do. I'll just throw him outside and tell him just to come back like when it's fucking night outside or some shit like that.
Yeah, dude.
I
used to when I was young. Oh my God, you would probably not picture me doing this, but my mom used to yell at me because it would be raining, like flooding, because our house when I was younger like was a flood zone. I would be raining outside, like pouring, raining, flooding outside, and I would be outside in a bike with my friends, just chilling,
just chilling, like
going through puddles.
What rain?
Yeah, no, what rain? Come back with like. No skin, just mud.
Yeah. No skin, just blood and bones, yo.
Just mud. And yeah, like I don't my nieces, like my sister like forces them literally to like do sports and shit.
To play.
Like
yeah. And to just interact with other people, you know? Because like staying on Fortnite all day long, you're not gonna develop social skills at all because you're just, you know, staring at your character in the game and it's fucking like it's weird. It's weird to say the least. But what you talked about, like putting yourself outside of your comfort zone, like that's something I'm huge on. And it's like, I do something similar to you. It's like whenever I get an opportunity to do something that puts me out of my comfort zone. Cause like, I'm a very quote unquote introverted person, right?
Wouldn't.
But similar to you, it's like people who know me, they'll tell you otherwise. Like Bruno will tell you like, nah, like Callie's fucking crazy. Like he's the most, you know, like outgoing person. But that's with like the very close people. And they're like, you know, I'm very introverted when I'm like in public and shit. And so like doing this podcast, for example, I've talked about this before. It gives me an excuse to sit down with people that I wouldn't otherwise, right? So how many times have you been invited to sit down with somebody for an hour or 2 hours and just talk about random shit?
Yeah,
like
never.
That rarely happens nowadays because of social media. So you're on social media, you're DMing, you're Skyping, but it's not the same thing, you know? And like, that's what I want to do with this podcast. It's like, it's bring people on and just like, yo, like, let's sit down strangers and end the podcast, like knowing more about each other, about other things. Maybe I say something that changes your mind, your perspective, you know, it could be related to anything. And that's my objective. And it's like, you know, just like communicate. And whatever comes to mind, we'll talk about, you know, if you want to talk about abortion, if you want to talk about Donald Trump, if you want to talk about, you know, it's just what, are people asking questions?
They're just joining. Okay, come on, guys. Ask some questions.
Yeah, just ask us any questions. Yeah. She said that. I did, but the camera's caught it. Yep. So, all right. I want to ask you, what's your opinion on fitness, because I've noticed that you're always with Bruna working out and shit, right? So like, what's like, how long have you been working out? What's your opinion on fitness? Why do you like it? Why do you do it?
Okay. So I'm gonna be really honest here.
Nah, yeah.
The reason why I started working out in the beginning of this year genuinely was because me and Bruna made a pact, and we were like, listen, World Cup is this year. Either we get fit or we stay ugly. Or we
So
stay
do it
ugly.
for the World Cup.
So we literally just did that, and then we would go like literally like 5-6 days a week. And then honestly it started with me going into yoga, because I've always wanted to do yoga.
Oh shit.
And then after I did yoga, like I started getting into the whole like, doing reps, doing weights, like things like that. And then I think I just started to like it as the more I go. And I never pictured myself like I do, like people like Katya and like Dylan, whatever, like these fitness girls. I genuinely wish that I had it in me to be like so fit, dedicated, like meal plans. I really do wish so hard that I was like that, but shit, I can't give up a cheeseburger. Like, I really do wish I was like so motivated like that. I really wish that I was like, and my friend Austin always is like, Mo, you can do it, you know? Like, I was like, he would give me meal plans, and my friend Sergio too. Like they would both keep like telling me like, you know, you can do that. What do you mean? It's not that hard. And I'm just like, no, bro, it is. Cause like you guys make it seem so easy. And then Austin will be like, yeah, it's so easy. And then you talk, and then a second later, he's like, oh, but by the way, you have to add and multiply and divide your macros, this, that, and third, weigh your food. You see?
That's all calculations for macros right there. That whole whiteboard. Yeah.
Do I even know what macros is? Absolutely fucking not. No.
Nah.
So...
But
that's
I get
why.
it.
But like, I think the fitness aspect of it though, because when I was in high school, I used to like, for a little bit, I did track, and then I did cheer like all 4 years, and then I did field hockey. So like, I was into fitness. I'm into fitness in that sense. But I think the whole like actually taking myself and like having the discipline and all that, it's
just
so
overwhelming
hard.
sometimes, right? It's just like thinking about like eating chicken breasts and broccoli every single day.
But the thing is, like, when people put it on social media, it looks so good, and I'm like, but if I did that, that chicken would have no seasoning, bro.
No seasoning.
Would have no seasoning. It'd be broiled, okay? It would not even be
broiled chicken and
it'd be broiled, no salt, just plain chicken that just literally got skinned from the farmer's market. That's what
it's just frozen chicken. You just buy it at Costco and just munch on that shit.
Yeah, that's literally what I would have. But like, no, I think, and also Bruna like pushes me, and I think that's what's good about it, because like, I used to not be able to go to the gym by myself, but because she was always there to be like, no, Mo, you're fucking doing this rep, and I'm not letting you not. Yeah. She was very
it just pushes you, and it keeps you liable, I think. Why do you think you had difficulties going to the gym alone, though? Like, what was it?
Honestly, it's because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Okay. And like, I think that's why most people like go into the gym. It's like, shit, I'm afraid to look like I'm dumb and I don't know how the fuck to do this. And like
100%.
Yeah, and like my friends are all like fit fam and this, that, and third. Alex, I'm talking to you. And like he like everyone would always, and every time I would go to the gym with like guys, they're always like, in the beginning I used to always be like, oh shit, I can't do this rep because I'm gonna look dumb. Like, and I don't want people to look at me. And then everyone's always like, dude, like, if you have good form, that's about it. Everyone starts from somewhere. And that's what Austin would tell me all the time. Like,
100%,
everyone starts from somewhere. And it's like, regardless if you look dumb or not, look at you 6 months now. Like,
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
and you get better each day, too.
Yeah, definitely. Like, ask me if I knew how to squat. Absolutely not. Did I know
the first time
that
I
bar was
squatted,
40?
I fell on my ass, and like I kept looking around, and I spent like maybe like 2 months without squatting because I was kind of traumatized. But that was like a long time ago. But then you get used to it, and then you start putting like no weights on the bar, and then just do it with the bar, and then fuck what everybody else thinks. You know, like just like start gradually, and then you build up to, you know, and then you put 5 pounds, and then you put whatever 10 pounds and 15 pounds.
But the thing is that like I love how the thing is, everyone always thinks that people are looking at you, but if you really look around, nobody gives a shit.
Right.
Like,
that's so weird. And I feel that too.
Nobody gives a shit. Like, if you fall, bust your ass, shit. Like, everyone, if you look around,
like nobody even saw it.
Nobody ever noticed.
Yeah.
Nobody ever noticed.
I used to have that a lot in fucking high school, especially in high school. I would be scared to raise my hand to ask to go to the restroom because I would sit in the back of the class. And since I was in the back of the class, I would have to walk all the way in front of the class, pass in front of the fucking board, whiteboard or whatever, and to leave the classroom. And then in my head, like I was so self-conscious in high school that I would always think like if I asked to go to the bathroom right now, everybody's gonna look at me. But then I would notice other people going to the bathroom and everybody was just like sleeping or just like taking notes
Doing
or whatever.
their
And
own
nobody
shit.
gives a shit
Yeah.
who leaves the room and shit. But in your mind, you're like, every fucking eye in this gym right now is locked on me
Yeah.
for some reason. And why do you think that happens though? Like, do you think that that's, I don't know, like, why do you?
I don't know. I feel like that's just a part of us growing up, though. Like, I feel like as we're like when we're in, especially in our teens, I feel like we're all still trying to find out who we are. That we're all so like so focused on what the hell everybody else is doing, and
Yeah.
we're like trying to make like the best version of ourselves. That like. I don't know, like I think that's all a part of growing up. Like I feel like everyone is just so like trying to like find themselves in an environment that is like forcing you to be something else, so you're trying to like please everyone to not make yourself look like a dumbass.
Damn, that's deep right there. Holy shit.
You know, like
But yeah,
I genuinely think that's it, because like I feel like in high school especially I was a bitch. I'm gonna be really fucking honest here.
Raw
Everyone
and
who's probably
authentic.
watching my live who was in high school with me, they knew like I was in cheer,
Yeah.
and the younger girls, like when I was a senior, my like juniors and like sophomores and like freshmen that would be in like my squad, they would literally tell me like in practice, they're like, oh, if Mo turns her head at you during the hallway, like you must be fucking special because she never turns her head. Like,
Wow.
and like I'm not saying I was Regina George, but I just always kept it like not to myself, but like whatever. I don't know, but and like when I would like host like cheer tryouts when I would be there when I was a senior especially, I feel like everyone who like I would be with girls who are like struggling to do this routine or like struggling to learn this cheer, and I'm always had to like pull them aside to be like, yo,
this is how you do it.
Like, don't fucking worry about anyone else. Like, you want to make this team? All right, then fucking work it.
Damn.
Like, you work it. You don't have to worry about what the hell everybody else is doing. Like, you know what I mean?
leadership right there.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, though. I think that, like, especially girls, too, I think girls have such a, like, a level of acceptance that they have to reach. And I feel like...
standard.
And I feel like sometimes, like, I think it takes for us growing to realize like it doesn't fucking have to be that way. Like it does not have to be that way at all.
I was actually thinking about that before this episode, how the past two girls that I've had on, Vanessa and Yasmin, my episodes with them in comparison to like the other episodes that I did with like guys, right? Both of them were much more outspoken and much more firm in what they said. And then I started thinking about that. I was like, because like I had episodes where it was kind of difficult in the beginning to like actually get the other person comfortable and actually communicating and talking. So like some people sit down and they just wait for me to ask questions and they just respond. But with both of the girls, the past episodes, like they were just like you are, like they were speaking firmly and just saying what they believe and being raw and authentic, because I think that girls are so used to being criticized every single day and trying to live up to the standard that society establishes, that you guys create this strong skin that doesn't make you scared of speaking your mind on this podcast, for example. So
no, absolutely.
You're not scared to like talk and, you know, and just pour out whatever you have to say, as opposed to like other guys who are always like self-conscious and like always watching what they say and stuff. It's like, oh, like people. And I think that that's a good thing to have, you know, to like build up strong skin and actually not be intimidated by other people's opinions and what other people have to say. And like, that's something that I was thinking about, which, you know, but my opinion on the whole people watching you, I actually researched a bit of that, and I saw that the reason why we get stage fright And the reason why we get scared or intimidated or we think that everybody's looking at us all the time is because our ancestors in the past, like in the past, for example, if you committed a crime, you would be condemned in front of the whole village, right?
Okay.
So you would go on this.
So Scarlet with the letter A.
Yeah. So you would go on this mini stage, and there would be the person ready to execute you in case the king and the people determined that you were guilty. So let's say that you robbed a loaf of bread and you were being, condemned for that. And then the king turns to the crowd and says, should she live, or should she die? And then if everybody screamed like, die, kill her.
She was just trying to get her carbs in.
She was just trying to get her carbs in, trying to get built, trying to get jacked. But people are anti-fitness back then. And so if the king, so like you were at the mercy of the people watching you. And that went on like for a long time, like past civilizations, like that's their, what do you call it? Their judge process or whatever, like how they judge people and how they, what the fuck do you call it? The judge,
the Judy?
Judiciary.
Okay.
yeah. That thing. Yeah. So like that was their, interpretation of it. So when you're walking in the gym and you feel like everybody's watching you, it's just your instincts telling you like, Monique, like be careful,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And the same thing happens when you feel like somebody's watching you. And then most of the time somebody is watching you. So if you ever get that feeling like you're home alone and you feel like somebody's watching you, chances are someone is watching you, but you don't know where from.
No, see, they're fucking watching you from these cameras.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Here.
Right?
Yo, no,
right?
That's why I'm afraid to literally sleep with I sleep. My laptop has its own pillow. Okay, this is bad.
Really? What do you mean it has its
like
own
I
pillow?
sleep and my laptop's right here in its own side.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes before I go to sleep, I'm like, yeah, no FBI.
I don't. Yeah. Fuck that shit. Like they could easily hack your phone while you're fucking, anytime they want and just access your camera and just watch you and shit.
No,
and like that shit fucking.
Have you ever watched fucking Fast and the Furious? And then like that last one where like they have like God's eye and then they can literally, the government can pick any camera on the street and then access it in like a blink of a second.
Live.
And like that is honestly, that's not too far because technology is really like efficient nowadays. That is not too far from the truth. Like,
I don't think it is.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
Because there be times where like my MacBook could be on standby and all of a sudden like I'll see a little
That
green light and I'm like, no.
That happened to you before?
No, like that's happened to me once and I was like, no,
fuck that
honey.
shit.
I was like, we gonna let you be on 1% and die right now. Like
it's like you're just chilling in your room and then this Chinese hacker somewhere in China Pakistan.
My friend Vanessa, right? Yeah. She had her laptop once, like it was her laptop and her phone, and she woke up at like 4 a.m. because something was going off, and then she looked at her laptop and her phone, and all she sees is literally Chinese letters like going up on both of them. And the next morning, she was like, what the fuck? And then she looked, and then when she went to Apple, she's like, someone from China literally hacked like both of your Apples.
Wow.
Both your laptop and your phone.
Did they get like any like credit card information or?
No, that she didn't because she's smart. I don't think he got any of that. But like her whole laptop was like hacked, so she needs to like reboot her whole entire laptop, her phone. Like, damn, it was crazy, and I didn't believe her. And until I looked at her phone before we left, and I was like, bro, what the fuck?
You're fucked.
I was like, you're fucked, yo.
What's your favorite conspiracy theory? Like, are you into conspiracy theories?
I am. I am. The thing is, I like to like listen about them. Like Shane Dawson does them all the time.
Shane Dawson. I used snippets of his video about the flat Earth thing in my last Instagram post because like he makes like the most informative conspiracy theories because he touches on like various things and he throws information at you and like every single conspiracy theory I'm like, wow, like what if that's true, because he just it's like an overload of information. But what's your favorite one from him that he talks about?
But he talks about a lot. Like Me personally, I get more interested about the ones about the government because, like, I genuinely do like all these like shows about that, like House of Cards and shit. Like, it's not far from the truth. Like, it's not far fetched at all.
Yeah.
Because there's like, I feel like there's so much things that goes on in a series of events that just like link up to one another
and that we don't know about.
Yeah, that we don't know about and shit. Like, it makes us question, honestly, like, do we actually have the freedom that we actually think we have? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I think that's interesting. That's interesting because, and that's also really fucking scary considering who's our president, guys.
Yeah, the fucking social media, Twitter, whatever enthusiasts. Yeah.
So this is
but that shit. But I don't know. Like, I'm into like conspiracy theories, but at the same time, I'm just like always thinking, like, do you think that human beings are intelligent enough or complex enough to like plan out these things and like create this environment where everybody's being watched and everybody's being controlled and Alexa's listening right now and and like
Alexa
this
apparently has laughed, so I'm a little freaked out.
Alexa, there was a glitch that she was going through that my Alexa also got it, where she would start laughing out of nowhere. Like a very malevolent laugh, like an evil laughter. I swear to God, one day I was staying up late. I was like on my computer and stuff right here. And Alexa was like inactive. And she was just like right here chilling. And then she turned on and started, these red lights and started swerving and swerving and swerving. And then I was like, Alexa, stop. And then she stopped. And then I didn't say anything else. And then she started laughing. Like, I don't know, like, ha, 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 ha.
Oh, hell.
Ha, 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 ha. And then turned off. And then I unplugged it. I was like, fuck that shit. Like, I'm not. I was like, I just threw fire and shit. I was like, fuck you. I was like, God damn it.
See, that's scary. That shit to me is fucking scary. Because, like, it's not, honestly, like, but the thing is, okay, going back to that question about if someone is smart enough, but think about it this way. This is how I think of it, is I feel like our society now, because of like where we are day and age, as easy as it is to think of how this, that, and the third can happen with like getting like, like freaking activating this camera, whatever. It's also just as easy to manipulate so many people now because of social media.
Because
like,
of that,
everyone, how long can you live without this? Really?
Yeah, not too long.
Really,
not
guys,
too long.
really.
So everybody's being controlled by that.
Yeah, so I feel like it's also not as like it's not far fetched for us to think that that can happen. Yeah,
I think that you're right on that, and I agree 100%. It's like, it's very easy for you to manipulate the human mind in a sense because we're very gullible, right? Like, we're very susceptible to different, to like, it's very easy for you to create the perception of security and control, and under the covers, there's something completely different happening simultaneously. So we think that we're all safe right now, right? But until
we're not.
I don't think we're all like completely safe. And then like, until what point are you willing to give up your privacy for security? And then there's that age-old question, which is like, how much security are you willing to have in exchange for your privacy? And I think that that's what the government tries to do each and every time. Like, saying that 9/11 was an inside job, like, that's not far-fetched because that's a reason. Like, it's an attack from the outside, so it's an outside enemy. And that goes back to like our ancestors. It's like, barbarians are at the gate, so there's an enemy approaching the village, and then like, it's like, planes flying into buildings, it's terrorism, it's school shootings.
With that, it's so much easier to believe that because if the government were to tell us that, like, if let's say the government were to tell us, oh, we're being attacked, because they're saying we, right? So it's us. It's us against them. If it really was an inside job, how easy is it for them to say, oh, it's them? When it's really us.
When it's really us attacking us.
You know what I mean? So that's why it's so easy for us to believe that, and that's what's scary about it.
It is, and it leads you to like question how much can you really trust? Like, how much of what you see can you really trust? And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, what do you think about social media in general? Like, do you think it's more positive or negative? Like, what's your opinion on social media? Because like, I've noticed that you're a fan of the Kardashian show, right? Right?
Yeah, dude.
Right?
I'm sorry, man. Fucking.
No, but like,
Yeah, I am.
I personally think that the Kardashians are fucking geniuses.
No, they are. Chris
Like,
is amazing.
Chris is one of the
Amazing.
most like brilliant businesswomen.
She should be president, to be honest. Like, fuck Donald
Just
Trump.
everybody's
Kris
like
Jenner,
free
2000.
plastic surgery for everybody. No, yo, but like think about how she got limited resources. Like she literally got her daughters and created empires and just ginormous
Yeah.
businesses off of each one. And that's all she needed. Like her initial investment and her initial,
Was her family.
was her own daughters. Like that sounds fucked up, and it kind of is because you're using your daughters to like
It
make
is.
money.
It
but
is.
at the
But
same- yeah.
but they're willing.
But they're
They're
willing.
willing to do it.
But
So-
but how much do you think is like them willing to do it? Because like think about it. What like ever since Kylie was what like 12 or 11, they had the show running, right? When Bruce was still Bruce, and like at 12 years old, it's really hard for you to have your own formed ideology and have your own viewpoint of life. So like you're already put into this machine.
Yeah.
That is the Kardashian machine or whatever. And then like I feel like, what if she wanted to be a doctor? Do you think that she would be able to be like, I don't know, like I think that she's kind of already put in there, and then she's brainwashed by her sisters, by her mother, and kind of forced and kind of like, nah, like this is what you should do because your sisters did
Yeah.
this, and it's not I don't know. But I see them as fucking geniuses. Like that's marketing genius, and that's
No,
why everybody attaches to them. Like all these rappers, Travis Scott, Kanye West, and yeah, I think Tristan Thompson. Is he the one with Chloe, right?
He's the one with Chloe.
He's the basketball player.
He's a dirtbag. Yeah.
What happened to him that he was like in the hospital or some shit, right? Like
Tristan?
Was it Tristan?
No, it was Kanye.
Kanye went to the hospital too, but so Chloe's husband didn't get like fucked up or anything,
No,
right?
Lamar. That was
Lamar, the basketball player.
That's for like was for the Lakers.
Okay.
I think. I don't know about sports guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But what do you think about Bruce's transformation? Because that was a big, like,
Honestly,
out of nowhere.
I did not. That was so left field for someone who's like so ride or die.
Yeah.
That was so left field for me.
It was out of nowhere.
Because and the thing is like I don't know, like to me I feel like it was definitely bold, but like I would really wonder how like Kylie and Kendall really felt about that, to
Really
be honest.
reacted to it, yeah.
Because I would try to put myself in like that shoe. Shit, my dad is a fucking girl. No, let me tell you.
Indirectly, she called her dad.
But like I would
plan it
not
out.
even know how to like
React.
feel
Yeah.
about that, because like they still call her dad, and like
Really?
yeah, they still like if you were to watch the show,
Yeah.
right, tune in on Sunday. Like they still call her dad, and like
I didn't know that.
yeah,
I thought it was
like
like
she wanted to like make it not normal when all this happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So like I don't know, like I mean it was definitely bold, and if it was something that like made him happy, then sure, shit, fucking
sure.
go for
Like,
it.
just do whatever makes you happy and just go
But
for
like it was definitely something very bold, because I think he did it without thinking through like what his family thought. I think he probably did it in a good time though, because at that point Kylie had herself basically situated. Like
Yeah.
Kylie had like her own stability within like the age of like 19.
Yeah, business and stuff.
So
yeah.
like, and Kendall was doing their own thing. So like, and like his other kids were already old. So I feel like he probably did it at a really good time, because everyone was already stable. And it's like, if he was gonna hurt anyone's feelings, like shit, like you guys already have your life set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
So-
feel like he did it at a time that's like let me be happy. Let me
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
do this.
yeah.
What I have to do to make myself just like
Happy and fulfilled
be
and
at
stuff.
a good place
Yeah.
with myself.
So you think that he kind of held off a bit and he just wanted to make sure that everybody's okay
Yeah, because
before he took care of himself.
Hell yeah. I think, imagine if he
makes sense.
did that when Kylie and Jenner. Kylie and Kendall were still in high school. Like,
Yeah.
their life would be like, what the fuck?
Fucked
Dad?
up, and their
Like,
heads would be fucked up, and
yeah.
it's not normal back then too. Like, especially nowadays with all of this, LGBTQT whatever
Yeah.
movement and stuff. Yeah. So like now, but it's funny though, because as soon as he turned into a woman, he received Woman of the Year award.
Yeah.
Or some shit, which was hysterical to me, because if you think about it, like, it took a man
To get
to
the
become
award.
a woman. It's
To
like,
create and view this award.
it's like,
Shit.
what does that say about society? And I was looking into like the whole psychological aspect of it, and people are calling it the Kardashian effect, which is like maybe he spent so much time in that environment that he got to a point where, like, it just became like, think about it. If you were a guy living inside a house with all these women who live
Yeah.
off of their appearances and how they look and superficiality and, in Instagram and social media, like, I think it does something to your brain. Like,
No,
it kind of
100%.
triggers something. It's like
in the show, Chris literally said that she walked in on him as Bruce, like trying on one of her
dressing
dresses.
up. Yeah, yeah.
So like
I've heard about that too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And to me, like,
Yeah.
I could only imagine if anyone were to be her, obviously it would be Chris. Because to me, if I were to be put in her shoes, like the man that I loved for like 10 plus years, all of a sudden I'm a freaking girl.
Turned
like,
into a woman.
Yeah.
And
so-
that would probably lead her to like question herself too. It's like,
Yeah,
am I
she
not
probably
enough?
asked, like, what the
Like,
hell did
am
I do wrong?
Yeah.
To like,
Damn, that's deep.
yeah, definitely. But I
It's a
mean, hey,
question.
I think she's always
Yeah.
wanted to like pursue being with a black guy. It's like, look at her now. She's always probably looked at her daughters, and then now
It's
she,
like- it's like
she
you-
went into the way that she wants to.
the dark side.
Yeah, pretty much.
What do you think? Like, why do you think that's happening too? Like, this interracial shift, right? Because like that wasn't normal until a couple of years ago. Like, most celebrities would, try to stay within their racial groups
I
or whatever.
fucking love it. I love it.
No, it's good because it shows progress. It shows that
Yeah.
we're actually evolving as a species and as people, because we're not, selecting basing off of like outside, like like I'm, white, I'll be with white. I'm black, I'll be with black.
Yeah. No, but the thing what I think it's a really good progress, because I think it's showing the world kind of to prove them wrong, because segregation is real, yo. Like,
Yeah.
it's
And
real.
it still happens to this day.
No, like it
in
is.
certain countries.
I'm gonna prove to you as to why. Like, I did not know. I didn't kind of put it up to surface that segregation was real
Yeah.
until literally maybe I think like 3 years ago. Because in New Year's I went. This was when I literally used to use a fake ID, and then I went out, whatever. And
She doesn't use it anymore.
Sorry, cops.
FYI.
I'm 22 now.
All the
okay?
cops watching this. It's like, tuning in.
And I went to New Year's Eve at Marquee this I think 3 years ago, and whatever. My friend, we were in his section and whatever. And it was just like me and my friends, and then like obviously other promoters had like other groups of invites, whatever. And I remember my promoter was like, "Oh, like go sit up on the chair or whatever." And dude, like, oh my God, this shit was so crazy to me, because it was like I think something that just kind of it was so mind blowing, because like I was asked whatever, I was sitting on the chair, and there was these two black girls, right? That were sitting next to, like, there was a girl, my friend was sitting next to me, and then there was these two black girls and like a Spanish girl, whatever.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes later, one of the other promoters literally went up to the security guard. I literally saw this. Like, he went up to the security guard, told the security guard something, and then the security guard came up to like the two black girls and was like, "You guys need to step down."
No.
I swear to God. And then they told him to step down, and then they made these two white girls come out.
No.
Yo.
They swapped him? Like,
Yeah. And like like me and my friend literally saw this happen, and I'm like, when I was so floored. I was like,
damn,
what the fuck, yo, like
nah,
that,
fucked
like,
up.
and to me, like, and I remember telling like my friend this story, and I was like, I just never knew that it was real until you see it. You know what I mean?
Until you see
and
it
to me, it
actually
was
happening.
like the most fucked up thing, because like the girls were like, "What the fuck?" Like, and they walked out the section. They literally walked out.
Wow.
And I would too. I would be like,
I would walk out the
on?
fucking
Like,
club. I protest that shit. I'll be like, fuck
yeah,
this
and
place.
I would like
Spam
it was just the most craziest experience, and I was just like, and the girls also who like they put to go up, like their faces literally looked like they were like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how would you feel? You know what I mean? Like, they even felt uncomfortable because they knew what the hell just happened.
Wow. Did you know that promoter personally? The
that
promoter
one
that
I didn't.
Spoke to him? No.
Because there was like 4 promoters there, and the one that like where we were with, like I've known him for like years. So like I didn't know who it was, and then when I asked the promoter, his name was Nate, and I asked him, I was like, yo, it's like, what just happened? He's like, don't even. He's like, yeah, like he's someone new, like he's from Florida, like, you know, he's from Miami, like that's
fucking
I guess
Florida.
just how he rolled. And I was just like, if that's how it is in Miami, I'm never fucking going, Nate. Never going.
Fuck that.
So, but yeah, it was. It's kind of. I think we were all so like. I think we're very like muted in a sense that we don't think that actually happens, but it does.
Until you actually see it.
And I feel like going back to that whole interracial thing, it kind of pushes that whole thing aside, because I feel like it doesn't have to be a whole white, black.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't. And just an FYI, mixed babies are like the best looking babies, guys. Just saying.
Stormy and
Stormy. Look at North. North is like the cutest little baby ever. What?
Yeah. Nah, but like I agree too. And it all comes down to that whole us against them mentality, right? It's all about like, you know, having to pick a team. It's like, oh, I'm team white, I'm team black, I'm team Hispanic, I'm team this. And then viewing the other groups as enemies and stuff. Because like it's been proven that when you have a collective of people and they have well-established norms and ideologies within that circle, confrontation with other circles is inevitable. Like that will happen. Like you can't, you know, diffuse racism, I don't think, unless you force everybody to come together.
Yeah.
And to force everybody to come together, you'll need a bigger reason as to why they did that.
Yeah.
And I think like I can't think of a reason, you know, other than
not to bring it all together.
Yeah. To like have everybody and be like, yo, like we have to work together because there's a fucking aliens coming or whatever and they're gonna destroy the planet. Then people would probably look, you know, inwards and rather than I don't know.
But I think like some groups though, some ethnic groups are a lot more accepting than others.
No,
I think
for sure.
Yeah, like I'll give an example. Like my friend Sunny, okay, he's gay. He's a gay black guy. And this guy is tall. When I mean tall, I mean like 6'2", okay? And he's like, he wears skirts, guys. Great. Love him. And he's into like small like Asian guys. And like Asians are, I'm sorry, but like real Asian, like Chinese, Japanese, like that's who he's into. And he gets so upset because he's like, yo, he never want to say hi to me. Like, why don't they ever want to approach me? I'm like, Sonny, I'm sorry, honey. Like, just, I don't know. I just might not like you.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad because it's true. Like, I feel like it makes you kind of not even want to approach someone who is like that. That makes you think like, shit, because I can't even be friends with you if you're gonna fucking just push me out.
Yeah.
Like,
and also because like you start basing one interaction with one person and then you start like generalizing. So if you had a bad experience with an Asian person, then you'll probably be like, oh, like fuck them, you know?
Never eating Chinese food again.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
Exactly.
Fuck your lo mein.
Exactly. Exactly. And like even more traditional cultures, you know, because even Portuguese, Brazilian, Hispanic, Asian cult, like these are very traditional. So like they're the type of people that if you bring along, you know, a person that's from the outside, then your parents who were brought up on this ideology and this firm belief that this like Asians should, marry Asians, Muslims with Muslims, Brazilians with Brazilians, and not like, interbreed and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes it more difficult, and it makes you avoid those people too. It's like, oh, like I hate those people. It's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to go to this party? No, I don't want to go there because there's only this type of people.
Yeah.
But going back to the thing that you said about you think a certain way until you actually experience something, which is the whole racism thing, the whole
segregation,
girl stuff. Yeah. So like if you actually put yourself out there and you actually go to a party where people don't look like you, right? It's like it's a different like race within that party.
Though. Like that's why I don't get why people are so closed in on that.
Exactly.
Like okay. Like going back against your cousin because she's gonna vouch me on this.
That's cool.
Like I used to not know what the hell Portuguese was or Brazilians until my sister dated and then ended up marrying a Brazilian.
Okay.
And then now it's like you put me in a Gustavo Lima concert, I'm gonna fit right in, girl. Fit right in.
It's just integrating the culture and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts before your sister married a Brazilian? Like
I didn't even know what that was. I'm being so honest.
Yeah.
I did not know. Like I knew Portuguese was a language. I knew Portugal was
a country.
In a country, and that's about it. But like when someone is like, "Oh yeah, I speak Portuguese and I'm Brazilian," I'm like, "What the fuck's Brazil? Where's Brazil?"
Like,
I was like, "Where the hell is Brazil anyway?"
Yeah. And then if you weren't exposed to that experience or to your sister's husband, then you would never figure out that you love Gustavo Lima or that you love Brazilian funk or whatever.
I would never think like, honestly, because I think if I look at where I am now from like 3 years ago, it's a lot. Like I feel like I'm so cultured in a sense because I have so many friends from like different ethnicities, and it's not even like the thing is like just like how I think some people need just a little bit of a push just to be like, yo, there's other shit out there, man. Like it's not just this.
Yeah. Be more open-minded and just accept other people for what they are and what they have to bring to the table.
I would love to sit at Nona's house on Sundays.
At whose house?
Nona's.
Who's that?
Nona is a grandma in Italian. Italians have great Sunday dinners.
Okay. So is your grandma Italian?
No. I wish they were. Wow. I have friends who are Italian and like I've been to their house for Sunday dinner and shit.
Italians cook.
Yeah.
Their food is
we go daytime, we go churrasco and
Brazilian churrasco. Oh, and then you finish
it off at Nona's house on Sunday dinner.
Damn. Talk about multicultural right there. Melting pot. Yeah. No, but like I'm a firm believer in that. It's like creating a well-rounded person that has like friends from different ethnicities like you do, that makes you more prepared for the world, I think. Like for the job force and for just, it prepares you for what the world actually is. As opposed like if your parents like locked you inside the house and said, no, like you can't be friends with him or her, and like they kind of forced you to continue that tradition, then you would be that person that's always antiquated in her ways. That's always like very slow and not progressive. And I think that the more progressive, the more easier it is for you to evolve as a person. And then you start,
But it's also, developing. I think, in also your background. I feel like also, like, I feel like your environment does a lot.
Yeah,
because
it morphs you. And
I'm thankful enough that my parents were never like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, I have two sisters. My sister's married to Brazilian. My other sister's married to Honduran. Like, my cousin is married to someone who's Australian.
Wow.
Like, I have a cousin who married a Canadian. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's awesome. That I love that my mom's never been like, oh, you have to marry someone Filipino. And if she did, I would never, Mom. Just saying.
It would be bad,
But yeah, like I don't know, like I'm thankful that my parents aren't like that, and I think that's why I'm so open to like meeting new cultures and like experiencing like new shit, because I think people honestly are scared to be open-minded about things. Because
why do you think that happens, especially today? Because I also agree, but like, why do you think that happens today a lot?
Because I feel like everyone, like, there's certain people I think who feel free to like think whatever and like experience and whatever, like be open minded, and there's other people who are so like in their own little box, And I feel like it goes back to that whole thing about being standard, like having standards.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think it
And
goes back
meeting.
to that also. Like, it's, I don't know. I think most of us are scared to have someone put something new on the table because we don't know what to expect. And like,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
That makes sense. Yeah. I think that people are scared to have an opinion nowadays. It's like because everybody's overly exposed.
Yeah.
So if you say something, like if you put out a tweet, like we're literally living in a time where the president of the United States tweets something and that becomes a topic in the news, like worldwide news. And so like
I just took a shit.
Yeah,
Donald Trump just took a shit.
And then like everybody like puts it on CNN and then Fox News and then everybody's talking about how taking a shit is talking bad about the US. And no, it's actually a good thing because you know, and then like people create sides off of every little thing that you say. And so I think that people are just scared to be opinionated and to speak their minds. And the few that do face criticism, but they're brought up in a household that kind of taught them how to deal with that criticism because they weren't nerfed by their parents in a sense. So it all comes full circle with the whole, you know, playing Fortnite all day and not interacting with people and being antisocial. When you actually get the opportunity and you have to be social, you don't know how to do that. And then you become that weird kid that just sits in a corner and just doesn't interact with people and doesn't go to parties. And, you know, like I always think about that shit. It's just like the time that we're living in is fucking weird. Like it is a weird time because I think we're all still trying to figure it out. Nobody has everything figured out.
But I think that's awesome. That's great.
That's awesome. But at the same time, on social media, that's what you have the most of is people who portray themselves as having figured everything out. So like people create this perception. It's like everything you post on social media, like nobody's going to post a bad thing on social media. You know, like I just broke up with my boyfriend. I just broke up with my girlfriend.
No, but
I just got
people
divorced.
who are like that. It's horrible.
Yeah. There are people who actually expose everything, right?
Yeah.
But like most people, like if something bad happens, they'll just play it off on social media as if everything's fucking great, everything's perfect. And I think that's bad too for everybody else because that puts the standard even higher. And then if you're thinking, for example, if your dream was to sing and to become a singer, which we're going to release the album soon, but your dream is to become a singer, it's very easy for you to be unmotivated when you look at, I don't know, a person that you idolize. Like, who's your favorite singer, female singer?
I would say like Jhené Aiko.
Jenny who?
Jhené Aiko.
Jhené Aiko? Okay.
You know who that is? Don't act like you know who that is.
Jhené Aiko. I've heard Aiko
Big
before.
Sean's girlfriend?
I think I've seen her. I'm very turned off when it comes to my bed.
Jesus God.
But I think I've seen pictures of them together. But yeah, so you go on her Instagram and it's very easy for you to be unmotivated as much as it is for you to be inspired because you'll see her life and you'll be like, oh shit, like she's already there. And then you'll look at like the path that you have to fucking walk to get to that point, and then you're like, fuck, you know, like it's gonna take me 5 years to get to that point. It's gonna, you know, I'll have to get lucky like she got lucky. And then people like find excuses in their idols and in these people that create these perfect lifestyles to not do shit themselves, if that makes any sense.
Okay. So going into this topic, right? Something that just like popped into my head.
Sure.
I'll put a topic there and let me see because I think you'd get hyped up for this.
Yeah, sure.
What is your opinion of law of attraction?
Law of attraction. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to talk about this, to be honest. All right.
Like law of attraction, manifesting,
yep,
all of that.
Yep. My 100% sincere, transparent opinion is that I went through a phase. It was in high school when I read The Secret. I watched the movies. Oprah talking about it all the time. She was a huge advocate for The Secret. She still is, I think. And talking about the law of attraction, that if you think positively, everything happens and stuff. At the time, I took it too seriously. Like, I was like, all right, so...
How so, though?
Too seriously in a sense where
like you think on a moon and you write it down?
I legitimately thought that if I closed my eyes and just thought about owning a Ferrari or
and it would end up in your
and it would happen somehow, I would get that opportunity to own a Ferrari. Not a Ferrari because that's too much. Like I didn't even think that, but like small things like good grades. So if I just believe that, I would get the opportunity to get good grades, it would happen without me putting the effort in. So I was very stupid in that sense because I took it very literally. But nowadays, like today, I look at it as something necessary and positive because it's necessary for you to establish like a positive mindset.
Yeah.
And when you have a positive mindset, you put yourself in good positions and opportunities open up to positive people because your energy kind of attracts your tribe, right? So your vibe attracts your tribe. So I believe in that. I believe in writing shit down, writing things that you're grateful for, writing things that like writing goals. Vision boards are dope too. I went through a phase where I had a vision board.
Erica has a lot of vision boards.
She does?
Yeah.
Really? I've never seen, but like I went through that where I would put like a house, I would put money, I would put, this and that. And yeah, so like I think that's important. But what I don't appreciate is people who did the same thing I did where you
but it's
just
drastic though. I think when people go into this, when they first like read about it or like learn about it, I think they think just like how you were saying about the whole Ferrari thing. Like I think they think it too drastically.
Yeah,
that it doesn't work. The things like I'm gonna own a 6-bedroom mansion.
And then
like,
and
like
then you
oh shit!
wake up one day, it's like
I'm in a gold toilet that's heated. Like doesn't work like that.
Japanese toilet.
But I think that
Yeah.
what people don't get it is like, okay, just this year I became like mad intuitive and like spiritual. And like what I always used to say was like the universe, that's what I'm gonna generalize as whatever you believe in. So I'm gonna say the universe. So the universe is only gonna give you something that you're ready for. And it's like, if let's say, okay, let's go into something like I'm gonna put it in the energy out there that I want a relationship. And I'm telling myself, Monique, you're gonna be in a relationship with a guy that's gonna treat you well, gonna have his life together, goes to the gym, loves his parents, is humble, and just has his shit together. Right? I'm putting this energy out into the world. I'm not necessarily gonna think to myself, I'm gonna meet this guy in 2 seconds.
Okay.
And I feel like sometimes we are in situations at a time and place where even if we put that energy out there, sometimes the universe might not think you're ready for it. And I think sometimes we think things when we're not actually ready for them. Does that make sense? Like
we try to rush things.
Yeah, like I feel like we put the energy out there, but in the back of your subconscious, it's actually you not being ready. And that goes back in the topic of like, how can the universe put something directly on your palm if your palm is on your pocket? Think about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How do you climb the stairs of success with your hands in your pocket? I think Arnold Schwarzenegger said that one. That guy right there, Arnold. Yep. I think he said that. And it makes sense. Yeah. Like, how are you going to climb the stairs of success with your hands in your pocket? Like, you have to put the effort in. Stuff,
like, I don't know. I really do believe in that because, like, I think, okay. When I was little, I say this like I was fucking 7.
Yeah, like
when
20 years ago.
When I was younger,
30
right?
years ago. Yeah.
My first love. I always kept going back to him. Let's just name him Brian.
Bob.
Brian. Yeah, Bob. Let's name him Bob.
Bob.
And every single year, I would keep going back to him, and it's like, and every time we tried, there was also, it's like us trying always made the outcome worse. And every year we just found ourselves back to each other. And like, okay, like this, and as fucked up as it sounds, like this even happened when he would be in relationships.
Oh, okay.
Which is horrible. And I would I would never do anything
force
physically.
it or anything? Okay.
Because no. But like, I'm saying as a general, like he would approach me or like whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like the tension of like that chemistry was always just there. And then I think like me being like naive, I would always think like, oh, like, you know, he's the one for me. And I've always just had this mindset, like, we keep going back to each other. This is the love of my life.
Destiny.
This is destined to be, you know, like, this is exactly who I'm supposed to be with, and nothing can ever change that.
So you closed yourself to other opportunities. And
and like, I found myself, like, at one point, like, this past year, I found myself, like, we tried, and I think we, like, this time around, we gave it like our best shot. And then I found myself closing a door that could have been something better with someone else because I was so focused that this was it. Like,
to make that happen and to make
that happen. And it's like, I kind of like dropped everything, closed the doors on everyone else just to make this one thing, make sure it happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's when going into that whole law of attraction thing, when after like the downfall happened, fucking crash and ended bad happened, that's when I got into the whole law of attraction, this whole being spiritual, the universe thing. And it's like I found myself asking, like, Mo, what do you actually want? Like, what do you want? Not what he wants to make you happy. Like, what do you want as a person, as an individual? What do you actually want? And I deadass was like, I just want to be happy. Like, you know, like I just want to be happy, whichever way self-term that is. And that's why I like, and I would literally binge on watching these like spiritual law of attraction videos. And I literally just came to the conclusion, like, I think some girls actually need to hear this, but like, if a guy is meant to be with you, ladies or guys, this person is going to be yours regardless, time, place, age, wherever, whatever circumstance, that guy is 110% going to be yours at the right place and time.
Okay.
And I think girls don't know that. And I think it took me, like, literally, I've been on my ex for, God, like, literally since, like, freshman year.
Wow.
And freshman year, I was what, like 16?
16.
And I'm
you're
22
now?
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, 6 years.
So I think it took me a while, but and
to actually figure it out and actually realize that, because I think that a lot of people force things. Like, they want to force relationships.
They want to make it work so bad.
Yeah. But the thing you talked about understanding yourself and asking yourself and just like, holding back, take a second, step back, isolate yourself, and be true with yourself. And not like take like, oh, like this is what my parents think, this is what my friends think, this is what he thinks, this is what, ask what you think about it. And I think that that's necessary, and that's like, that doesn't happen nowadays because of a crowd mentality. Like, everybody's always in a crowd. Like, you're always on social media. You always agree with everything people says. And if people says like, Mo, he's the right guy for you. If one person says it, okay. If 2 people, 5 people, 10 people say it, then it gives it credibility. And then you're like, holy shit,
and it was even worse because, like, I think I just kind of made myself believe like this was it, because like everything just kind of, if it were to work out, it would have been perfect. Like, like I was like, the sister was like my best friend, and like the parents loved me, and I knew the family that was in Portugal, and like I knew their cousins, like things like that. Like, I think that those things were definitely, and everything, like, and every time like me and his name would get mentioned, it's like everyone who knew who we were like, oh yeah, they're gonna end up together. Like, I think that kind of was the thing, was like the key that just made me think like, this is it. Like, he is it. And like, and I'm just gonna be vulnerable and I'm gonna be soft because at the end, like, this is who I'm gonna be with. And that's sometimes like, I took out all the bad that he was, that really, really did outdo the good. And I kind of just like blurted out because in my head I was like, yep, this is who I'm gonna be with. You were
always idolizing and romanticizing about that future maybe, right? Because it wasn't maybe all along, but in your head it was always like ideal, like that's like, and you would probably like picture yourself
like
waking up
baking
and, like,
cookies with
like
our 10
like
kids,
small Mo's running around
singing
mini Mo's
with some
and just
earphones.
eating bread and stuff.
Like eating a bunch of cages in the corner.
Bunch of cages. You talked about the universe and how you call it the universe. So is the universe God to you? Like, are you a religious
The
person?
universe, I think, is like, yeah, it could be, I think it depends on you as a person. Like, it could be God. It could be like the universe as in like an outside entity that
An
like
outside force or
gives you
something.
like the energy that is like surrounding you, I think. Like a vibe.
Yeah. And then if you put out like positive vibes, then you'll get positive vibes.
Yeah, because
and,
essentially
like,
I feel like good people receive good things back.
I think so too. Yeah.
And I think like the best, like to the people who are so like selfless and humble and like just like have their shit together, not in like a physical way, but like mentally, spiritually, like in themselves, I feel like they're the ones that like have the most success.
Yeah. Because they're always put into positions, because like people like to be around people who have their shit together, right? Like you don't want to be around destructive people who are part of a gang, who use drugs on a daily basis, people who, so you're always trying to attach yourself to people who are quote unquote successful mentally, physically, financially, because in hopes of like actually boosting yourself up, and it gives you that glimpse of possibility. It's like, if he did it, then I could do it, you know?
100%.
And that's why I believe a lot in mentorship too, because like that's one of the things that changed my life. And
was that
having
like
a mentor,
you being an apprentice kind of thing?
It's just finding a mentor, a person that is at a position in life where you aspire to be at, and then just having that connection and seeing that that's a real thing. It's a real human being. It's palpable. Like you could actually see that person's success, and you see the work that took to get there. It inspires you and kind of like gives you direction to go. So like, I think that that's important, and that's what most people lack nowadays. And that's why people resort to gangs and drugs and, just lose themselves because they can't find themselves, because they have no reason to find themselves, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah. No, I understand. I completely agree. I also think that like, I think our generation, like being this young is such an odd age, because we're in that age where we're supposed to be getting our shit together, but we're also supposed to be not.
Right.
And I think people kind of forget that we're not supposed to have it
all figured out by 24 or 25. And like,
because if we did, it would be robots. Like,
yeah.
So, and I think that's something that people don't like remind themselves, because like I have friends who are going through mad shit. Like I have a friend specifically who like unfortunately is like has like an addiction problem. Okay. And I think like, and he always tells me like, oh, like I wish I could be better. Like, like I really wish I could be a better person. And it's like, I like, this, that, and the third, and I wish I could like do this, but like I can't because of this, of what I am right now. And I always try to tell him like, listen, like rehab, okay, that's a great thing because it's isolation. Yeah. But it always starts with you like wanting to put your foot out there to be like, I'm gonna quit this because I wanna be the best version of myself. 100%. Yeah. And I feel like that's what some people I think forget, that like your mind is so powerful. Yeah. And it's like, I think people forget that and they take it for granted, because there's so much, like you just thinking a certain way can like open so much doors for you. And it's like, I don't think people know that.
I mean, even smiling, like if you're having a fucked up day, even if you force a smile and just like force yourself to smile for like 2 minutes, that automatically enhances your mood. Like that's been like actually proven, that a person that's having a shitty day, if you just look yourself in the mirror, or just you're sitting on the bus ride home or whatever, and just start smiling and just like watch funny videos and just, just enhance your mood, that changes your whole perception on the day. Because then those clouds start to dissipate and sun starts to shine on you a bit, and you start, just changing your ways. But what you said about change being like, I think that the desire to change is a precondition to change actually happening, if that makes any sense. So like if you have an addiction problem, right? I can't force you to be better. You have to be better. Like you have to want to be better, because you could lead a horse to water, but you can't force the horse to drink the water, right? So I think that that's another thing that most people, like, again, your friend, maybe he's putting like all of these perceived limitations and obstacles are all in his head. Like, that's not real.
No, that's why I always think that. Like, that's what I always tell him. I'm like, it's a different thing for you to say it and a thing for you to actually act on it and be like, listen, I'm going to be better.
Yeah,
And by
small
being
steps.
better, I'm going to stop this for a quarter of a day. Gonna, you know what I mean? Like, and it takes steps. And I feel like that's something. Oh, shit. You okay?
No, it's fine. She's fine.
I feel like that's something that we forget is like, just like how you're going back to that whole like, oh, I can't look at a celebrity's Instagram because you feel down that they have it all together. But I think it's like they didn't start off like that either.
Yeah,
that's what I think we kind of forget. Like nobody started off like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like Kim did not become like this if it wasn't for her sex tape, guys.
And like overnight, yeah. So she had to do some.
You know what I mean?
Freaky shit.
Yasmin worked some serious PR.
That's probably a disaster for PR right there.
Yeah, so like that's why I think everyone needs to start from rock bottom, and like that goes back to like every single subject, like going back to that whole fitness thing. I didn't know how to do any of that, but that's why you start from somewhere to work yourself up
and then gradually build.
Yeah.
And I think also it's like people don't generally chop things up into smaller pieces, right? Like people look at things like as this fucking like monstrous endeavor instead of chopping it down into pieces that you could actually digest easily every single day. So like
go up a whole steak.
Exactly.
12 inches.
Maybe you have an addiction problem, but when people say like, yo, like go to rehab and stuff, your mind thinks like quitting at once. Like you can't quit cold turkey, you know? Like it's like, all right, so instead of taking this amount, I'll take this amount today. And they gradually build up to that. But people don't see that. And again, it goes back to the whole Instagram, you know, famous people putting their lives like that. They don't actually show you the steps that they took and the failures and everything that came with it in order for you to, you know, aspire to do the same, you know? So it's kind of like it's a whole perception thing. It's like I think that limitations are all in your head, you know, like
it is.
If you tell yourself that you won't be able to do something, then you've already failed.
Yeah.
Because you can't take the first step if you don't believe in yourself, you know, like, and then you have to believe in yourself. You have to tell yourself, no, but like, I'll start, I can't squat. No problem. I'll just start with no weights and then I'll gradually build. And then just like your friend said, in 6 months, you could be on top of the stage posing in a fucking bikini contest and like most fucking jacked and ripped. And then everybody's like, holy shit, do you remember that girl who used to go to this gym,
like,
who fell on her ass trying to do squats and who hurt herself this time and this time? Did you see where she's at right now? And then people are like, whoa, like, fuck.
Dude, like, going back to that whole weights thing, like something I'm really proud of, which might not be something super small, really big actually. Like when I used to start at the gym, I used to not even know how to leg press. And now I can leg press 360.
Wow. That's impressive. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's 4 plates each.
That's 4
45s
plates each side.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, and that's great. Like, and like me and Bruna do that. Yo, we have guys that ass coming up to us, and it was like, what the fuck are you guys taking? Y'all taking some shit?
Most guys can't even do that. Like,
no, yeah, because we had 2 leg presses, and me and Bruna always start on we start on, okay, so 90 plus 90. Okay, so we start on 180. We start on 180. And like there and we always work ourselves up. Like we add one more plate, and it's like if we can't do 360, we'll do 300. 3 plates, and then we'll do a 25.
Okay.
So, and we'll have guys like like there was this one guy I remember who did like 2 plates, and we were doing 3. Right, and this guy was like, "Wait, you guys are not done yet?" And we're like, "Bro, this is just our second set. What do you mean we're not done yet?" And they're like, "What the fuck are you guys taking?" Yeah. Like, and that's why, and they're like, and they look at us, and I mean, I'm not a big person. I'm literally like 5'1". Bruna's like 4'11". So that's why, and I think that's why, like, you have to grow. Like, I think. It's also like going back to that whole like being open-minded thing. I think we also have to allow ourselves to grow as well.
Yeah,
like,
and want to grow and want to progress. And actually, do you believe, speaking of growing, do you believe in like establishing plans for yourself? Like, do you establish 1-year plans, 2-year plans, 5-year plans? Like, so how does that process work? Like, where do you see yourself in, I don't know, like 5 years or some shit?
The thing with that is I do like 6-month plans, 1 year, whatever. Like But the thing is, I feel like they always constantly change as to where
it's
I
hard
am.
for you to
It does. It always changes. And I feel like I always have to kind of remind myself, like,
to be flexible.
Yeah. I think, like, going back to that thing about jumping into, like, oh, she's so successful. I always have to think, like, my mind is always, I always think kind of backwards. I always think, let's say, Mo, I want to be a dentist, right? So I want to be a dentist. And I always kind of forget that there's stuff that has to go in the middle for you to go there. And that's what I think I have to remind myself after I make that thought. So
to kind of prepare yourself for that process.
Like right now I'm actually going to take a semester off and then I'm going to go in spring. And my major is marketing and PR.
Okay.
And the thing is like, I've always just thought that I wanted to do that. And I do want to do that. Like, I think I'm good at, like, promotion and, like, marketing, this, that. Like, I think that's something I wanted to do.
Sure.
And then now that I'm in the field, like, I work in a dentist's office. And I feel like the more I'm into that field, the more I get interested in it. And that's when I literally thought to myself, like, let me give myself a semester off, see if I like this field. And if I like it, let me take one dental course and see if I like it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And then if not, all right, let me go into hygiene. Do I really like hygiene? Shit. Maybe we'll get a PhD and we'll become a dentist.
Yeah.
Like, everything I think takes steps. And sometimes I think we tend to jump the gun on things.
A lot of times. Yeah.
And, like, I think that's what makes a lot of people fail, to be honest.
Yeah. Because, like, the whole scheduling thing, like, the whole, like, all right, so this is my plan for, like, the next 6 months and 3 years, 5 years. To me, like, that kind of, like, holds you prisoner to that thing. And I'm the type of person, like, I don't really have a schedule. Like, I just go about, like, I'm very instinctive in my, like, okay, so I have a meeting this time, I have a call this time, I have this and this and this. Like, I'll lay that out, but I'm not the type of person that'll take Sunday and, like, you know, manage my time and, like, down to the fucking, like, 15 minutes, like, this time use the bathroom from this time to this time, and then
you only
do
can
this,
take a shit in 10 minutes.
You have 10 minutes.
Nothing more. Not 10 seconds and 1 second. 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Better wipe that ass fast.
Techniques, you know, search up new techniques of how to wipe your ass more effectively, efficiently.
Baby wipes. Which kind of baby wipes does the job better?
Exactly. But, like, I'm not that type of person, and I think that you have to be flexible. And you have to be like, because I believe in trusting your gut feeling. Because I don't know if you know this, but your stomach has, I forget how many neurons, but it has an insane amount of neurons, which is what's located in your brain. And most people don't know this, but they're actually there. So, like, when you get that gut feeling, it's actually your neurons firing and communicating with your brain or some shit like that. Like, it's very, so that's why that saying, gut feeling, came about, because it's actually true. So, like, if you have that gut feeling, chances are it's right. So you have to listen to it, and you have to consider, like, obviously, like, don't, you know, jump the gun every single time, but you have to, like if you're not feeling it, think about it, you know, like, think about it more. Like, if you're going to a party and you're not feeling the vibe of hanging out with certain people, maybe it's better if you don't go, because then maybe something bad will happen and you'll probably get in trouble and somebody will have a gun or some shit. And, you know,
no,
like,
I completely get that, because, like, I'm gonna just put an example. In December I went to
icebreakers.
In December I went to Miami for one of my good friends' birthday. And for one of the nights, we were gonna go to this club because it just so happens that it was Art Basel, and my promoter was there, and he was like, "Mo, you should come to this. You know, like, 6ix9ine is playing, and, like, he's like he's gonna go, and, like, it's this big event. Like, you guys wouldn't have to pay, whatever." Yeah. And my best friend's boyfriend, like, loves him, and I told him, and he was like, "Oh, like, we should." He's like, "Oh my god, we should go, whatever." And plans ended up changing. Like, something came up and we just happened not to go. And then the next day my promoter texts me, and it's like, we were actually bummed that we didn't get to go, because he wanted to go. He wanted to, like, see him, and I'm in my head, I'm just like, you fucking weirdo, you fucking love 69, but okay. And the next day my promoter texts me, and he's like, oh, like he's like, oh, like you didn't end up going, right? Because like I tried to text you and you weren't replying. And I was like, no, I didn't go. Like we ended up going somewhere else. Like why? He's like, yo, because someone like 6ix9ine bought, like ended up having a gang come and like 6 of the security guards were shot. And like the building, like, and like they had to evacuate because there were gang members there who were starting to fight. And like in my head, I was like, what the fuck? And I literally ran to my best friend's boyfriend. I was like, Kevin, I was like, yo, I was like, this shit literally happened and thank God we weren't there.
Holy fuck.
Like, and he told me, he's like, yeah, he's like, my boy literally got shoved and like there was glass and like the manager got shot. 2 of the security guards ended up in an ambulance because they were injured. Like, it was insane. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like,
yeah. So like, what do you think that is? Like, do you think it's like it's God, it's coincidence, it's the universe? Like, what the fuck?
That's why I'm actually really curious of that, because I feel like everything happens for a reason, but like, is it coincidence?
Yeah,
or like, is it all just a plan that we aren't aware of? Yeah, food for thought.
Sleep on that. Nah, but look. Do you know about the theory that says that we're all living in a simulation?
I feel like that every day.
Literally. Right.
Like I sometimes have to, while I'm driving, which is actually dangerous, I have to literally remind myself, like, Monique, you're like, if you were to crash, you actually die. Like, you know that there's no redo, right?
Yeah,
like sometimes like I forget, like, this is my fingers and you can move them. Life. How do you move them? I don't fucking know.
I go through the same shit, and sometimes I think I'm crazy because I do that too. I'm like, wait, like what would happen? Like sometimes I just sit down and I start thinking, like, not like a crazy way. It's like killing myself and shit. No, it's just like I'm gonna die one day, and then what's gonna happen?
Living right now, though?
That too, and then like what happens then? And I start getting like this weird feeling inside, like this scared feeling. It's like, think about it, like you're gonna die. Like, just if you start thinking about that and let that sink in, and just like, you know, it's like, what happens after that?
Okay.
So
since you brought this up,
hold on, let me just get my phone real quick.
You got it.
I'll just save this. I'll just put it here, and then I'll just like face it towards me, and then I'll face it towards you, and then I'll just keep it like that.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, so I forgot what the hell this book's name is. But in high school, we were forced to read. Okay, it was called Elsewhere. Do you know what this book is?
Never heard of it.
Okay, so I'm gonna. This could be a conspiracy theory right now. Okay,
shoot.
I think you're gonna be really interested in this one.
Shoot.
Okay, so in this book, I think she's like 16. She ends up dying. In like the beginning of the story, she dies in I think in like a cruise, and she dies somewhere, and she wakes up as her injured self, but she's not in pain, and she's in this cruise. And then when she looks around, there's like all these people who are injured and who are like in really bad condition, but they act like they're normal, like they're living their day-to-day life, but they're in this cruise. And then she goes ahead and asks someone, like, yo, where are we going? Like, where are we going? And they're like, oh, we're going to go to this place called Elsewhere. And I'm guessing they're going to, let's say Elsewhere is like, if you're Christian, it's heaven, right?
It's heaven, yeah.
So they go to this place, and then she's like, oh, like, you're going to get picked up by your grandma. And she was like, what do you mean? And like, my grandma died. And she's like, well, she's going to pick you up. And she's like, okay. So she comes... they dock, and then she meets her grandma, and it's a younger version of her grandma. And she's like, wait, what's going on? And I'm just gonna do like a basic plot. So in this place called Elsewhere, okay, just going a side note, do you believe that people, you know how people say, I feel like I've met you before?
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind, okay? So I'm reading the story. Yeah. So she meets a younger version of her grandma, and then in this place, everyone ages backwards, so they go younger. And then when you're finally time for you to be a baby, right, they shoot you back into the universe.
Oh, so it's the whole reincarnation thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in this place, it's like surrounded by water, and they basically say like she tried to get like connected back to her family on Earth, so she goes underwater to like this like window that's underwater, and she's trying to communicate, and she communicates to her, like I think it's like her sister, but her sister can't understand her, but her sister knows that she's there, and it's like through water. Like her sister opens a faucet in our world now, and then in elsewhere she's trying to speak to her, but it's underwater, but her sister obviously can't understand her.
Okay.
Now think of that concept when someone is trying to speak to a ghost now. Do you ever notice that we aren't able to really communicate with that person unless there's a median? Right? So isn't that crazy?
So like a bridge or something, right?
Yeah.
Like a sort of a bridge.
Yeah. So like when in this thing, like she basically gets, like she becomes a baby and she gets shoot back into the world as like a whole nother person. And like when after I read it, I was like, that's just not like, that's kind of crazy to think, because what if that were to really happen? Like what if that's actually what happens after?
That's the cycle of life.
Yeah. And like that goes back to when you're like, oh, I feel like I met you somewhere.
Yeah.
But in like reality, you probably have. Like you probably have.
Holy fuck.
Like you need to read this book. I'm gonna let you borrow this book.
Elsewhere?
Yeah, it's called Elsewhere.
Wow. Yeah, because like that feeling is always weird. It's like you meet somebody and you kind of like know them from somewhere, but you don't. And at the same time, have you ever like gone through an experience? Like it doesn't have to be a person. An experience where you're going through it, and then you just tell yourself like I've been through this before, like the exact same way before. Like this is weird. Like,
and I know exactly what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, like I've thought about that a lot, and my theory is that there's like infinite universes, and that when you go to sleep, it's like, what's a dream, right? Like what is it that happens when you go to sleep and you close your eyes? And you have those very realistic dreams where you're falling off a bridge, or you're falling off a building, or you're being shot, or you're living this life or this romance, whatever. It's you playing this other reality that never really existed. And so my theory on that is that what if dreams are actually you getting a glimpse into the life of the other Monique in another universe?
Oh my God.
And that's like a bridge. So like it's
like flashbacks.
Yeah, maybe flashbacks and maybe like real life events. It's like, what if you close your eyes and you just switched to a different channel, and a different channel being the universe? And because the theory that most scientists talk about is that there's infinite amount of universes. So there's infinite amount of Moniques. So there's a universe right now, theoretically, where everything is happening the way it is right now. So it's identical to ours. Even the way that you're blinking right now, your hand position, everything you do down to like, it's identical. But there's another universe or various others where things went a little bit different. So maybe you're a completely different person and you're doing different choices. And so when you go to sleep, that gives you access to these other universes and these other things. So I don't know if you've ever gone through this, but have you ever like died in your dreams?
Yeah.
How?
I've gotten shot in my dream.
Shot. That's something that a lot of people go through. And it's weird because like I've gone through it a lot. And so like, how does it happen in your dream? Like, do you see the bullet? Do you like, how does it?
In my dream, when I visualize it, I visualize it in a way that it's a third party, that it's like, when I died, I was still able to see what was going on without me actually being there.
Wait. You were able to
like
see
it was
what was
as
going
if
on?
It was a movie.
So you were looking at it as a spectator. So like you were like watching it from like a third person or fourth. Okay.
Yeah. But like, and there's some cases where I was the actual person that died and I would just wake up from it. But I don't know. Like, see, that's really interesting because dreams to me are like, usually I have this thing where like if I dream about something, there's something, it's like a way of the universe warning me from something, because every time I usually have like a really vivid dream that I know for a fact is like I can remember is that if it literally just happened. Usually I would say like a week to 2 weeks, something happens that
Related
coordinates to it.
Oh shit.
I don't know if that's happened to you, but that's always what happens to me.
Mm-hmm. Are you the type of person that has a dream regarding snakes? Like you see a bunch of snakes and then you wake up and then you go to Google and see like what does dreaming with snakes?
I'm being so honest. I really am like that.
No, but
like dream diary is my shit.
But I do that too, where I just try to figure out what the symbolism is, and it's weird because like think about it. If dreams were so like unique to each person, then me and you wouldn't share the same dream of being shot, right? So like if more people have that experience, then that means that, you know, there's something going on. It's like it's all like synchronized. So what if there are other universes and everybody
Damn, Kyla, you're being shot over there.
I'm being shot somewhere, and somewhere I died already.
Yeah.
So like that's just fucking like I started thinking about that. I was like, fuck, like my brain literally starts hurting.
But see that when I think too deep like that, I always have to remind myself, like, Mo, maybe you're thinking about this too deep. Like,
yeah, like you have to take a step back because otherwise you'll start going crazy.
Yeah, like going back to that thing of like, am I actually here? Is this actually happening? Like, I have to constantly remind myself of that because I feel like in our head, I
have a theory about that.
It's so like, I feel like in our head, we're all so invincible.
Yeah.
That like, if I were to take a knife and stab myself, nothing actually happens in my head. But then when it actually happens, you're like, oh shit, Mo, you died.
That's another thing too. Like, isn't it weird how everybody lives their lives thinking like, oh, like when I'm 30, I'll get married. But literally, like, you can't predict the next 1 minute. Like, what's going to happen in 1 minute. And that fucking, like, that to me is the most, like, craziest thing. And that's why I always have this sense of urgency to, like, create something for myself. Because I always, like, my greatest motivational factor is that I'm going to die. Like, that's what I tell myself. It's like, dude.
Oh, so you're trying to, like, live it up. Okay.
It's like, dude, you're going to die. Like, literally, you're going to die.
That's kind of dark, to
be
honest.
That's kind of dark, but it's, like, it's the realest form of motivation. Like, everybody's, like, always talking about, like, oh, like, you could do this. Like, oh, you know, and stuff like, that's cool. But if you literally just tell yourself, it's like, you are going to die. It's like... It's like literally though. It's like real shit. It's like you're gonna die. So like, what are you doing right now that's gonna make living worth it? Yeah. You know. So that's when it comes down to like what makes you happy. And I don't judge people that like, all right. So if doing certain things makes you happy, and maybe those certain things aren't ethical, or maybe they're not the right thing to do. It's like if that makes you happy, then go for it. You know, because like we can't, you know, like hold ourselves back into what actually fulfills us. And I think that that's the beauty of life, really. It's just like do shit that makes you feel alive because you're going to fucking die.
Trademark.
I'm going to start saying that when I become a motivational speaker.
Trademark.
I'm going to just go on stage, stare everybody in the face and be like,
you are all going to die.
You're all going to die. And then just walk away.
And all of a sudden, there's flames everywhere. There are
explosions, and then it just shows me walking away from the building, and the building just catches on fire. Nah, but you talked about like that. Sometimes you have to tell yourself, like, Monique, you are real, right? Like everything is real. I saw this video. Do you know about Jim Carrey, the comedian?
Okay.
Yeah, he went on this rant recently where he was all over media and stuff talking about how he doesn't exist. And he said, I don't exist. I am nothing but an idea. And I went deep into that, but to like make it short, like long story short, basically he says that everything you see is relative to you. Meaning reality is relative to each person. And so if reality is relative, then it's not reality. And he started saying like that Jim Carrey is not a person, it's an idea.
To me.
To like you and to everybody that knows Jim Carrey. So when you say Jim Carrey, he's a formation of all of these like beliefs, like he's funny, he's this, he's that, he speaks like this, he has this smile, like he's only an idea. That's formed through our way of conceiving reality. It's some really, really, really deep shit. Like my head started hurting yesterday because I was
No, but
just like,
that
looking
makes
into that.
sense though, because you know how someone could say, let's say you're fighting with someone and they say it's not just your world, but technically it is.
It is.
Because to you, you're the center of it.
Yeah. Because you're living your life through your eyeballs, like through your lenses. So you're the protagonist of your movie. And this is your movie. So things, again, you could look at Donald Trump, like there are people who love Donald Trump who would die for him, and there are people who hate him, who want to kill him. So like, it's the same reality, but no, it's not. Like,
It's not.
each person has their own world and their own way of seeing things. And that made me think, I was like, wow, it's like, what if he's right? And like, oh my God, like, I can't explain it because literally, like, it left me speechless the way that he worded it and the way that he explained it. And he went on Jimmy Kimmel, he went on late night shows, and he started saying that. And even Jimmy Kimmel was kind of like, what do I say now? You know, like, I can't, like, caught him off guard. And then people were like silent and they trying to understand. I don't know. But
no, but I could understand to see why that's relative though, because it is a fact. Like, I think what you show is only what I perceive you as.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And your perception of me is also made up by
What
opinions of other people in your circle,
Yeah.
for example. So if you have friends that know me, then that adds on to your perception of myself, to the idea of Callie. So Callie's not a person or a thing. Callie's an idea formed and created basing off of my idea of a person, if that makes any sense. So from your upbringing, your religious viewpoints, your ambitions, everything. So it all kind of, and then it's just ideas interacting with each other.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the world. And then then that's what he was talking about, race too. It's like, if people realize that, then you'll see past what's on the outside. And you'll start realizing that it's all like ideas and that people are ideas.
Yeah.
And I think that was pretty dope. Like, that was a pretty dope thing to do. And he went to a fashion show. I think it was the New York City fashion show. And he showed up in like a suit, a flashy suit and stuff. And this reporter interviewed him and asked him like, oh, Jim Carrey, didn't expect to see you here. And then he showed up and he said, well, I was searching for the most worthless event that I could find to go to, and this is it. And then she's like shocked, like that's her reaction. Like,
I've been like,
wait,
I'm
but
talking to you.
yeah. It's like, wait, but Jim, but you look good tonight, and you got all dressed up and stuff. And then that's when he started saying like, no, but you don't understand. Like, none of this matters, and none of this is real. Like, this is all, you know. And then she asked him about idols. Well, we're here to celebrate our fashion idols or whatever. And then he like laughed and said like, idols, like that's not real. Like, I'm not real. Jim Carrey's not real.
My God, his life is so deep.
It's dude.
He wakes up like, this is life.
He wakes up. He literally spent 3 consecutive days without eating anything because he was painting in his house. Like, his house, like, he's an artist, and most people don't know that, but he creates paintings, like huge canvases and stuff. And he filled up his apartment in, I think, New York City, where he was eating and sitting on his paintings because there were like no space left. And he filled them up, and that's what he does. He just paints, and he's a really good painter. And that's how he expresses himself. And he's one of the deepest guys. Like, if you go on YouTube and put Jim Carrey woke, and it's just like a bunch of videos of him just talking to shit, and it makes you think, it's like, whoa, like, what does this guy know that I don't? Like, what did he figure out that I haven't? It's really dope. I mean, it's really, let me check if people are, hold on.
Interesting. Okay. I might have to do a Jim Carrey marathon after.
Jim Carrey, man, for sure. And hold on, let me just see if pause due to poor connection. Fuck it, it's my thing. All right, let me just check how much time we've been on. 'Cause, I think we've been on for about an hour and 40.
Jesus.
Yeah. So,
Jesus.
do you have anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap it up? Like, anything that you wanted to get off your chest?
My God,
talk
I'm such
about
a just put it out there person. I run out.
That's awesome. That's good.
Monique, your head is fucking.
1 hour of conversation does that to you, though.
No,
It's
like I
just...
told you in DM, I was like, I'm nervous. What the fuck am I saying?
Nah.
And I told Dom, I was like, no, I think I asked Armani. I was like, what the hell am I supposed to talk about? I'm like, I talk for that long. She's like, Mo, you talk a lot, bitch.
You talk a lot.
I'm like,
yo,
well, I have nothing to worry about then.
It's crazy too, because like it feels like there's like a time warp in this studio where like you sit down and you talk to people, and like every single episode I'll look at the fucking time and it's like 1 hour, 2 hours went by.
But it feels like 15 minutes.
It feels like 15 minutes, right?
Yeah. Strange.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
you know what? Everybody should go on dates now.
Yeah.
Physically.
Real
talk for 4 hours.
Or podcasts, you know,
Yeah.
or just
oh my God,
podcast
dates. That's what you should do next. That'd
Think
be
about
great.
that.
You know, I'm $1 million matchmaker Mo Kylie. I can make that happen for you.
Yo, that's a good idea though, right? It's like sitting down with somebody, because like that's the best way for you to actually.
Hey, baby girl, you want to put on these headphones?
And talking to this mic, this
Talk
big
to this
mic.
Let me grab you a bottle of water and we'll have a conversation.
We'll get to know you in front of these cameras in my basement next to a mannequin wearing a t-shirt.
Imagine
It's
that.
like,
You know, like come in my basement and like talk.
that's
on a
what I
mic?
told all the past female guests, 2 of them. I told them, it's like, if you think about what's happening right now, I invited you to come to my house, to come to my basement, to sit down for an hour in front of cameras and just talk. Like, if you put that out in
Don't
words,
make it seem like that. Now you make me. Now
it
seem
makes
like
it seem
strange.
weird as hell. It makes it seem creepy as fuck.
No, I
It's
think
like,
I saw that on Vanessa. Then she was
Yeah,
like, she's
yeah.
like, I'm afraid to tell
And
my
then she-
dad that that's what I'm doing. I'm like, girl.
Yeah, because he would be here by now with the cops and just like, what are you doing with my daughter in your basement? You know, with the fucking mannequins, wearing a
Yeah,
t-shirt.
I'm just having a conversation, Dad.
Wearing a t-shirt. Nah, but do you have anything else that you want to get off your chest?
I think I'm pooped out.
All right. So this is how I'm finishing every single episode.
We like high five.
We could do that too. We could start doing that. But what I do is I ask each guest to imagine that microphone right now is connected to an earpiece, and everybody on this planet has that earpiece.
Oh shit.
And they're listening to everything that you're going to say right now. They're listening. So you're on the world stage right now. And they'll understand, despite their language, if they're Japanese, if they're, from whichever country. And you have this opportunity right now to either ask them a question, say something, a rhetorical question. It could be anything you want to say. You have this opportunity right now. You're on the world stage. Just stare into that camera and just maybe it's life advice. Maybe it's a question that you want everybody to sleep on. Maybe, it could be deep. It could be follow me on the gram. It could be anything.
Okay.
Literally anything.
Okay.
No pressure. 7 billion people
mine would
watching.
be, I would ask, what do you, when you wake up in the morning, I'm asking you, what do you want to do today? And what do you want, and what's the kind of person you want to be? And they would answer back. And I would say, then get off your fucking ass and go fucking do it.
Just do it. Nike
Just,
sponsored this podcast.
I'm actually sponsored by Nike,
Shia
guys.
LaBeouf also sponsored this podcast. And yeah, and with that, so ask yourself, what do you want to do? And ask yourself if you're doing it, you said? Or
Ask
if
yourself, what are you doing and what kind of person do you want to be? And just go out and fucking do it.
just do it. Yeah. And
Just
if you're not
fucking do it.
fucking doing it, ask yourself, what is holding you back?
Yep.
And
Stop
just
being a
question
little
yourself.
bitch.
Stop being a little bitch. And that's the main takeaway from this podcast is don't be a little bitch. That's it. All right, guys. So that was episode number 9 with Monique. Monique, thanks for coming on. That was dope. And yeah, stay tuned for Monday with Dom, episode 10. Exactly. All right, we're out.